If you get these two skills developed in sales, you will sell much more in less time. We're going to talk about that today. So take notes. And by the way, you'll have access to my complimentary book, The B2B Blueprint to Predictable Sales, which you can find under this video. So two things. First is the framing of the conversation. And let me develop this out so you understand exactly what I'm talking about when I say framing, because I hear some people say the stronger frames controls the conversation, the doctor frame. I'm going to use a slightly different perspective on framing. It's what you allow your prospects to see, how you create the vision within their mind and their subconscious. So think about a Picasso painting. And if you look at Picasso, maybe you're a Picasso fan, maybe you're not. To me, Picasso's paintings looks like something my 4-year-old kid could paint. But Picasso gets a lot more for his paintings than my 4-year-old kid. My kids are grown, but when my kid was 4, I have a son and daughter. So let me frame the Picasso painting in a different light so you'll understand what I'm talking about. So imagine I have this Picasso painting. I say, hey, $20,000. Like, are you kidding me? Now, imagine I invite you to a museum, an art museum, and we walk into the art museum. It's black tie. You walk in, you hear classical music in the background. And as we're walking with these huge pillars and these huge 50-foot ceilings, as we turn the corner, there's one painting against the wall, the same painting I showed you previously, a Picasso. It's in a beautiful gold frame. Lights are on it. There's ropes in front so you can only get so close, and there's security guards there. And you hear people bidding on the Picasso, $75,000, $100,000. Now, you didn't want to buy the $20,000 Picasso, but it's the same painting that's in the wall, on the wall in the art museum. So you understand the frame? It's different because you have a different perspective. If you go into a museum and maybe you have to pay admission, there's security guards, it's roped off, it's against one wall, and you hear people actually bidding 3 times, 4 times higher than I actually offered it to you. This is what a lot of salespeople do. They don't frame the conversation properly. And so the prospect sees very little value in what they're talking about. By the way, before I get into this with the two things, I just want to let you know, this is not intended to manipulate people, because you can use these two things to manipulate people, and don't. Okay. And if that's your intention, just leave now, because this is not for you. This is very powerful. So stay if you want to learn these two things and really look to serve your clients. Before I get into that, this is something that I want you to think about. Sales is not about getting people to buy the thing that you're trying to sell them. Sales is about helping people burst through obstacles and helping them achieve goals. That's it. And when you go with that frame of reference, you will go into the conversations with your prospects and they will become clients more frequently in less time. That would be number 3. I'm just throwing that out there. So think about that. So framing, I'm going to give you 3 examples of my clients. First and foremost, I want to use Dorothy. And Dorothy came to me after she had a meeting with her client. She had a new business. She had a leadership consulting business, and she was just kicking off the business. And she had not onboarded a client into her high ticket offer, which was $5K back then. And so she was using my framework. I have a call to client framework where there's a short meeting and a long meeting. At the end of the long meeting, in our strategy session, you onboard the client and get paid. And so she made it through the first 2 meetings, and she said to her prospect at the time, he said, "What would you like to do?" He was like, "Well, I'd like to move forward." And so she was all excited. And so she was getting the credit card information, and he's like 5, 4, 3, 2. And then I was looking for my phone. I have it in the other room. And then all of a sudden he got a call. He goes, hold on a second. I need to take this. Uh-huh. Yeah. Seriously? Really? Hold on a second. Dorothy, I need to take this. Please give me a call back. She had gotten 4 numbers from the credit card, and then all of a sudden he was gone. Imagine, they were on Zoom. Imagine that. This was her first client. She was so excited, like, yay! And all of a sudden her heart was broken. So what did she do? She followed up and followed up. She sent a text. She sent an email. She called. And about 5 days later, we had a one-on-one session. And I was asking her, so tell me, what's the best thing that happened to you this week, and what's the worst thing? She goes, let me just start with the worst thing. And she told me the story about, I had this guy, and he was giving me 4 digits of the credit card. I was so excited. I was shaking as I was typing in the numbers of the credit card. And then all of a sudden he got a call and he was gone. And I've reached out to him. I reached out to him through email, through text and calls, and he will not get me. He will not return my communications. And I said, Dorothy, I believe you can still onboard this person as a client, but you're going to have to throw yourself under the bus. She's like, what? And if you don't know what the expression of throw yourself under the bus, typically it's used when in the corporate culture, you are throwing somebody else under the bus because you don't want to get blamed for something that's happening in your department. And so you throw someone else under the bus. So I'm saying you need to throw yourself under the bus. So this is a framing of a conversation by throwing yourself under the bus, and it takes humility. Again, you can use this for manipulations, and please don't. Go with the intention to serve and go with humility. So I said, this is what you need to do. You need to send him a text, and if he doesn't respond, give him a call and say this. It's like, Bob, I don't remember what the guy's name was. Bob, I think I really screwed up. I see that you're probably not going to want to work with me right now. Would you be opposed to having a brief conversation and just give me some honest feedback? Because I started my business. I'm confident that I can help people develop as leaders, but I'm not very good at selling. And so we had a variation of this message. So she actually got through to him. He responded, and she goes, would it be okay if just a 10-minute conversation to give me some honest feedback? And he said, sure. So long story short, they get on a conversation, and it was on Zoom, and she asked him some questions. She goes, I think I handled that terribly. I'm not really comfortable. She was just being 100% open, honest, and truthful with humility. And she's saying, I screwed up. What made you not want to communicate with me? Because I think I was just sounding kind of salesy in that. And she goes, well, yeah, he said, and because she threw herself under the bus, he said to her, she develops a strong, genuine connection, which is so important with your prospects so they become clients. He goes, you know what? I don't like selling either. I stink. I think he used a different word, a bleep at selling. And so they had that common bond. And he said, well, yeah, salesy kind of. And at the beginning, it sounded like, wow, I believe she can help me. But then when you were trying to it felt like you're trying to pressure me. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry about that. That's the last thing I wanted to happen. She said, you mentioned this, and I got really excited because I knew I could help you because you said this is where you are and you're getting stuck with your team here. And I was going to develop out boom, boom, boom to take you through these steps so you can have a healthy culture that actually develops leaders. And so they ended up talking for 50 minutes. And guess what? At the end of that 50 minutes, he paid her $5,000 and he became her client. It all started by framing the conversation from a place of humility and throwing herself under the bus. So if someone's not getting back to you, you just don't make stuff up. Hey, I'm going to throw myself under the bus and just see if it works. That's manipulation. It has to be real. he had been ghosting her, and so she threw herself under the bus and got him back on in communication, and she ended up closing the sale, or as I would say, onboarding the new client. Okay, second is Kimberly. And Kimberly came to me, and she worked with enterprise clients, and they were just yanking her around left and right. She had a 6-month sales cycle, and she was working with, or she was presenting a proposal to a client she had worked with in the previous year. And she told me about what happened last time. They were just changing the wording around, telling her to, lower the price. And so I prepared her for that, to show up as the authority and to stand her ground. So she went through the conversation. She uncovered the problem, what it was costing them, and how it prevented them from reaching a goal or objective. She presented her solution, and they said, okay, Kimberly, well, we really don't like this and this and this. And really, the price needs to come down at least 10%. And she said this, I don't think I'm going to be able to work with you all. And you're like, what? Yes, I know I can help you, and the solution I provided for you is right. But if you're taking this out and want to lower the price, I'm not going to be the right fit for you. And so the CEO spoke up and said, Kimberly, can we give you a call back in a little bit? And she said, sure. So the framing of the conversation before she was subservient, because you are equals, but you have to be the authority. Here's the prospect, here's you. You are equals, but you are the authority guiding and directing the conversation. That's the frame that you use as the authority. A lot of salespeople they're equals, but they're like, oh, yeah, thank you. You want to lower the price? Okay, I'll lower it. Well, can we lower it just 5%? No, you're the authority. So 10 minutes later, she received the contract, no changes, and an apology from the CEO. Okay, in an email. How cool. She was so jazzed. Kimberly. So that's the different framing. So the first one is humility, framing the conversation and being honest about I screwed up. And so you're controlling the conversation. I have a problem. I need your help. That's the kind of concept that you're framing with, because you want to get honest feedback. And she was looking for honest feedback. Who has the best feedback for you? Your prospects and clients. You just have to have the backbone and willingness to receive it so you can grow. So the third example I want to use is I had a client. When I work with my clients, you end a meeting with a meeting, no exceptions, unless they're not a good fit. Then you don't want to have another meeting and waste everyone's time. So my client was having a problem getting a next meeting. He felt like he was pushing by getting another meeting, and he kept having to follow up and follow up and follow up. By the way, Kimberly, who had over a 6-month sales cycle, her sales cycle went to 3 weeks because she started being the authority, the equal, but the authority, guiding and direct. So now she could serve more people at a higher level and get paid what she was worth. So circling back to my last client, Tom, he was not getting a next meeting. And so he's following up and following up and following up. And the more you follow up, the less likely that you're going to be able to get the next meeting or the next step in the process, because the more you follow up, the more they see you as a pest and not the authority. So we work through how to frame a conversation to schedule the next meeting so that they will schedule it, because you frame it in a way that makes sense to them. So he got to the end of the conversation, and we had been playing around with this, and we were role playing. I was working with a team of salespeople, but him in particular. And I said, okay, we get to the end of the meeting, and I said, okay, look, Tom, great, thanks. Follow up with me in a week. And so this actually happened in his next conversation, almost exactly like this. So he got to the end of the conversation. We had role played, and I'll tell you exactly what happened when I role played, and he did the exact same thing in the conversation. So the guy said, okay, great. Tell you what, follow up in a week. Whoa, 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 whoa. I know you're busy and I'm busy. Equals, but authority. I know you're busy, but I'm busy and I'm busy too. to save both of us time, now you're framing it in a way that makes sense to both of you. To save both of us time from having to follow up and go back and forth a week from now, how about if we save time? If you're interested in this, if not, no worries. If you're interested, if we just schedule a time right here and now so that we have it in our calendars, and then a week from now, I'm not following up. I'm not being a pest. I hate being a pest. And the guy said, yeah, I'll do that. So that's 3 different ways of framing a conversation. And if you learn to frame a conversation, you will develop in their subconscious a different viewpoint of the conversation that makes sense to them. So authority, how they see things, the lens they see things through, when you do that, it changes the conversations and you will onboard more clients in less time. Okay. The other thing is intention. And I'm doing this second because many times when I speak with intention, I'm like, seriously, Chaz, intention? I'm like, yeah. One guy I've been talking to for a while, he came to some of my live events and he goes, Chaz, that intention thing sounds good, going with the right intention, but I need to make some sales. So let me tell you why intention is so important. Because if you don't have the right intention, you can use the framing that we talked about to manipulate people. And how many of you have had a positive experience with a salesperson? Give me a like. Put it in the comment below. Very few. And as Maya Angelou said, the amazing poet, she said, people don't remember everything you said, but they will remember exactly how you made them feel. When you go with the intention to serve and not sell, you will attract and not repel. Seriously, it's the great differentiator because you go to serve. And by the way, like Alfred, who was saying, intention to serve, it sounds great, but I need to make some sales. When you serve someone, you ask them the difficult questions. When you serve someone, you don't waste their time and your time. You schedule the meeting. You end the meeting with the meeting. When you show up with the right intention, you are the authority guiding and directing the conversation, not subservient, the authority, not authoritarian, authority. So go with the intention to serve, not sell. Yes, you will attract and not repel. It's the great differentiator, and it will change what you say and, most importantly, how you say it. So those 2 things will revolutionize all the conversations you have with your prospects. And yes, if you do this consistently, you will onboard more clients in less time. If you want a copy of my book, The B2B Blueprint to Predictable Sales, make sure to look at the link below and download. That's on me. So take that, and it's not only about helping you sell, there's also some marketing ideas. It will help give you clarity. It's the B2B Blueprint to Predictable Sales. All right, everyone. Go with the intention to serve, not sell, and you will attract and not repel. And remember to frame the conversation correctly.